The queen lost a daughter years ago, and a human just brought her home, HFY Sci-Fi Story. The great hall of the Aurelian Empire was silent, but it was never truly quiet. Soft light flowed through crystal walls, and distant machines hummed like a slow heartbeat. At the center of the hall sat Queen Shariel, ruler of 1,000 systems. She was tall, silver-skinned, and crowned with living light, yet her posture carried a weight no crown could hide. Years ago, she had lost her daughter. The Empire recorded it as an accident. A diplomatic ship traveling through a newly charted region of space had vanished without warning. No debris was found, no distress call was heard. The region itself seemed to swallow signals and time. After years of searching, the council declared the princess lost. Memorials were built. History moved forward. The queen did not. Every cycle she stood alone before the empty stasis chamber built for her daughter's return. It had never been used. The room was kept active, power flowing, systems ready, as if hope itself required maintenance. The queen never spoke of it, but everyone knew. The empire was strong, disciplined, and feared, yet its heart carried an old wound that never closed. Far from the Aurelian capital, in a quiet stretch of human frontier space, a single human ship drifted near the edge of a forbidden zone. The ship was small, scarred, and clearly old, but it moved with confidence. Its name, painted in worn letters along the hull, was Pathfinder. Captain Elias Moore floated in the cockpit, eyes scanning the strange readings flooding his console. Humans had mapped most of their region of space, but this area was different. Sensors bent, time readings slipped. Old probes had gone missing here decades ago. That alone made it interesting. Elias was not a soldier or a diplomat. He was an explorer. He believed space still held stories waiting to be found, not just resources to be claimed. That belief had led him farther than most humans dared to go. Then the sensors screamed. A massive object appeared on the screen, drifting without power. Its shape was alien, elegant, and ancient. Elias slowed his ship, heart pounding. The vessel was not human. It wasn't anything he recognized. Carefully, he maneuvered closer and ran scans. The hull showed damage, but not from weapons. Time itself seemed to have worn it down. The energy signature was weak, barely alive. "There's no way," Elias muttered. Against every safety rule, he docked. Inside the alien ship, the air was thin but breathable. Lights flickered as his presence triggered old systems. The corridors were smooth and curved, built for a species taller than humans. Dust floated in slow spirals, undisturbed for centuries. Then he found the stasis chamber. It stood alone in a sealed room protected by layers of ancient technology. Unlike the rest of the ship, it still glowed with steady power. A single pod rested at the center, transparent and intact. Inside was an alien woman. She looked peaceful, frozen in time. Silver skin, regal features. Clothing marked with symbols of authority. Even Elias, with no knowledge of her culture, felt it instantly. This was someone important. He worked carefully, following universal stasis protocols. When the pod opened, the woman gasped sharply and collapsed forward. Elias caught her before she hit the floor. She was alive. Her eyes opened slowly, filled with confusion and fear. She spoke, her voice weak, using a language Elias had never heard. The translator in his suit struggled, then finally produced broken words. "Where am I?" "A few hundred years," he said carefully. Her eyes widened, her hands trembled. "That is not possible," she whispered. Over the next days, Elias learned fragments of her story. Her name was Lyravi. She was the daughter of the Aurelian queen. Her ship had been attacked by an unknown group while traveling through unstable space. The attackers had vanished, leaving her vessel damaged and drifting. The stasis system activated automatically to preserve her life. To Lyra, only a few weeks had passed. To the galaxy, she was a legend, a lost princess. When Elias transmitted the data to human authorities, the response was immediate and tense. The Aurelians were powerful. Their queen was known to be cold, precise, and unforgiving. Returning the princess could change everything. Some advised secrecy, others suggested bargaining. Elias refused all of it. She's not cargo, he said. She's a person. She belongs home. Elias thought for a moment. Because if it were my family, he said, I'd want someone to bring them back. Her hands shook. She will not believe this, she said softly. Elias nodded, but she'll see you. Still, she ordered them brought in. As Elias and Lyra stepped into the great hall, silence fell like gravity. The queen rose slowly from her throne, her gaze locked onto the figure beside the human. Time stopped. The face, the presence, the life signature, it was her. The princess took a hesitant step forward. Mother, she said, the queen's composure shattered. She crossed the hall in moments, ignoring rank and protocol, and pulled her daughter into her arms. The hall erupted in shock, but no one dared speak. The human stood quietly to the side, unseen and uncelebrated. For the first time in centuries, the Empire breathed. And humanity, without firing a single shot, had changed the galaxy forever. The Great Hall did not return to normal after the reunion. Word spread faster than light through the Aurelian Empire. The lost princess had returned. Not through war, not through ancient prophecy, but through a single human explorer. Courtiers whispered. Commanders watched carefully. Historians quietly rewrote centuries of accepted truth. Queen Shariel did not let go of her daughter for a long time. When she finally did, she placed both hands on Lyra's shoulders as if afraid she might fade again. The queen studied her face, searching for signs of illusion or deception. Every scan, every ancient safeguard, confirmed the same truth. This was her child. Lyra spoke softly, explaining what she remembered: the ambush, the damaged ship, the sudden cold sleep. To her, the nightmare had barely begun before it ended. To her mother, it had lasted a lifetime. Elias Moore stood at a respectful distance, surrounded by silent Aurelian guards. He kept his hands visible and his posture calm. He was not afraid, but he was very aware that he stood in the heart of an empire that could erase worlds. The queen finally turned her gaze toward him. "You are the human," she said. "Yes, your majesty," Elias replied. "You could have hidden her," the queen continued. "You could have traded her existence for protection, wealth, or power. Many species would have. Why did you not?" In the days that followed, Lyra was examined by healers, scientists, and elders. Her body was healthy, her mind was sharp, but the world she had known no longer existed in the same way. Friends were gone, borders had shifted, traditions had evolved. She listened, learned, and mourned quietly. At night, she often sat with Elias in the observation gardens. Stars drifted across artificial skies. "I was supposed to lead," Lyra said one evening. "I trained for it my entire life. Now I don't know where I belong." Within the High Council, fear grew. Some saw Lyra as a symbol of hope. Others saw her as a threat. Her return challenged old decisions. It reopened questions about the original search, about failures that had been quietly buried. More troubling was the human. Humanity was young compared to the Aurelian Empire. Their technology was clever but not dominant. Their fleets were strong but not overwhelming. Yet this one human had walked into the heart of their civilization and reshaped it without force. That made some very uncomfortable. Private meetings were held. Voices rose. Plans were considered. One counselor spoke what others only thought. "If the human leaves with this story, the galaxy will change how it sees us. How it sees them." Conversation stopped when he entered a room. "You should be careful," Lyra warned him. "Some here fear what you represent." The chamber was filled with light and sound, broadcast across space. Lyra stood beside her mother, wearing the symbols of her lineage. Her voice did not shake as she spoke of survival, of time lost, and of the human who brought her home. Then a counselor rose. "Your Majesty," he said, "before we celebrate, we must consider the danger. This human entered forbidden space. He interfered with ancient forces beyond our understanding. How do we know he did not cause this situation?" "I've got nothing to hide." "They are afraid," the queen said, "and fear makes even wise beings cruel." She spoke of waking in an empty universe, of finding not an enemy but a human who offered help without demand. She spoke of kindness without reason, of choice without reward. He did not see a princess, she said. He saw someone who was lost. Then something rare happened. The motion was withdrawn. Elias was cleared to leave whenever he wished. When the day came, the queen herself escorted him to the landing platform. Warships stood down. Skies opened. "You have my gratitude," the queen said, "and my respect. If you ever need us," she said, "we will answer." Traders spoke of a human who returned a lost princess without asking for payment. Diplomats argued about what it meant. Military leaders watched human borders more carefully than before. Some felt inspired. Others felt uneasy. Queen Shariel felt all of it. Her daughter was home, walking the halls that had been empty for centuries. Lyra learned quickly, adapting to a future she never expected. She studied records, met leaders, and listened more than she spoke. The people loved her, but love brought pressure. Many wanted her to be a symbol. Others wanted her to be a weapon of unity. The queen watched quietly, proud and worried at the same time. Then the past returned. An Aurelian deep space listening array detected a signal from the same forbidden region where Lyra had been lost. It was old, encoded in a pattern no one had seen in centuries. The message repeated once, then vanished. The coordinates matched the place where Elias had found the drifting ship. The queen ordered immediate analysis. Scholars froze when the data was decoded. The signal belonged to a long-dead faction known only as the Veiled Collective, a group that captured rare individuals to study time, stasis, and survival. They were believed to have destroyed themselves in their experiments. Believed. Lyra stood beside her mother as the report ended. "They were the ones who took me," she said quietly. "If they still exist," the queen replied, "they may come again." They had entered unknown space and returned with compassion instead of fear. That mattered now. A message was sent to human space, marked with the highest priority. Elias Moore received it while repairing his ship at a quiet station. He read the words twice before leaning back in his chair. "They found something," he murmured. Human command offered escorts, advisors, even fleets. Elias declined most of it. He did not want a show of force. He wanted answers. The Pathfinder turned back toward Aurelian space. Lyra sensed his return before the announcement reached the court. She was in the gardens when her mother joined her. "He is coming back," the queen said. Lyra smiled, but worry touched her eyes. "Then the danger is real. They take what is rare, then vanish." Elias volunteered without hesitation. "You don't owe us anything," the queen said. "I know," Elias replied. "That's why I'm going." That will not happen again. The Veiled Collective had never truly died. They hailed the task force, speaking through layered voices and shifting images. They spoke of preservation, of studying survival across time. They claimed their work was necessary. Lyra stepped forward. "You stole lives," she said. "You stole futures." "You didn't save her," he said. "You hid her." What would humans do? They failed. Without violence, without destruction, the Joint Task Force shut down the structure's ability to hide outside time. It was contained, studied, and dismantled piece by piece. When the mission ended, the galaxy knew the truth. The Aurelians had not acted alone. Humans had stood beside them. Lyra watched the last rescued ship jump to safety. "This is what leadership should look like," she said. The queen nodded. "You will be greater than I ever was. But I think this is a good start." After the fall of the Veiled Collective, long-lost beings returned to their worlds. Some woke to families that had waited for generations. Others found only records and memories. Across known space, old grief softened. Old questions found answers. And in every telling of those reunions, one detail kept appearing. Humans had been there, not leading fleets, not claiming authority. Just present, steady, and unwilling to look away. Queen Shariel watched these changes from her throne, her empire stronger than it had been in centuries, not because of conquest, but because trust had returned to its people. Lyra stood at her side now, no longer a symbol of loss, but a living future. Lyra had changed too. She remembered the silence of stasis, the fear of waking alone, and the calm voice of a human who expected nothing in return. That memory shaped every choice she made. When she spoke in council, she spoke of responsibility, not dominance. When she traveled to distant systems, she listened before she commanded. The people noticed. Some began to call her the Bridge Princess. She did not stop them. Elias Moore did not stay long after the mission ended. He returned to human space, back to quiet stations and uncharted paths. That was where he belonged. Yet wherever he went, doors opened faster than before. Messages followed him. Invitations arrived daily. He ignored most of them. One message, however, he could not. It came without titles or demands, only coordinates and a simple request. "Please come." Elias sighed, smiled, and changed course. The gathering took place on a neutral world, one chosen specifically because it belonged to no empire. Representatives from dozens of species arrived, some cautiously, others openly curious. Humans came too, not in fleets but in small delegations. Queen Shariel arrived with Lyra at her side. When the assembly began, there was no ceremony. No show of power, just voices. Species spoke of fear, of old habits, of the damage caused by secrecy and control. The fall of the veiled collective had forced everyone to look at themselves. Then Lyra stepped forward. She spoke simply. She told her story again, but this time she did not focus on her suffering. She focused on the choice that changed everything. "A human found me," she said. "He did not know who I was. He did not know what returning me might cost him. He chose to help anyway." "Why do humans do this?" they asked. "You enter danger without gain. You refuse power when it is offered. What do you want?" But we learned something early on. Living with the weight of knowing you could have helped but didn't, that stays with you. An agreement without paper, a shared understanding. From that day forward, new protocols spread through the galaxy. Lost ships were searched for longer. Stasis laws were rewritten. Forbidden zones were watched, not ignored. And when something went wrong, humans were often the first ones called, not because they were the strongest, because they showed up. Years passed. Queen Shariel eventually stepped down, her reign remembered as one that ended an age of quiet fear. Lyra took the throne, not with celebration but with resolve. Her first decree was simple. No one would be abandoned to silence again. Humanity's role in the galaxy continued to grow, but not in the way many had expected. They became explorers, mediators, and searchers of lost things. Their ships carried more sensors than weapons. Their captains were known for stubborn compassion. Elias aged quietly. He never sought command or fame. The Pathfinder grew older with him, patched and repaired more times than he could count. On a distant outpost, while watching a binary sunrise, he received one final message. It was from Lyra. "I am sending this not as a queen," she wrote, "but as the girl you found." Elias leaned back in his chair, letting the light warm his face. He did not reply. He did not need to. Far across space, Queen Lyra stood before a window, watching human ships depart on another rescue mission. She felt no fear, no doubt. Humanity had never asked to rule. They simply refused to forget those left behind. And in a universe full of ancient empires, that quiet promise became the most powerful force of all.